There's other things that are bothering us. That's rising of sea level. And they said that's rising about 8 inches in 100 years. That's about 17 centimeter in metrics, Europe metrics. What do you say about rising sea level?
Well, sea level has been rising for the last 2 centuries. It actually was falling during the Little Ice Age, but presumably because of the cooling of the oceans. You know, the oceans shrink when they get colder. But the rising sea level started around 1800, you know, long before there was any increase in CO2. And it's been quite steady at about 8 inches per century for the last 2 centuries. There's no real sign of any acceleration. You can't see any difference from the large emissions of CO2 after World War II and what it was before. So yes, sea level is rising, but it's not being accelerated in any great way by emissions of greenhouse gases.
What about melting ice? They said that ice is melting from the Earth, from permafrost, and also from Antarctica.
Well, the ice that's floating in the oceans, you know, pack ice, it really doesn't matter whether it freezes or melts because it doesn't change the sea level, you know, it's Archimedes' principle. But if ice melts on land and the water flows into the sea, that would increase sea level. There's almost nothing happening in Antarctica. Antarctic ice sheet is very stable. Greenland has lost a little bit of ice, but if you look back over time, that's happened many times before. For example, there was a lot less ice in Greenland at the time the Norse settled there than there is today. So I don't see any big effect of ice or any effect of greenhouse gases. One of the most dramatic ice shrinkages that I know of in the world is in our Glacier Bay in Alaska. And that's a 60-mile-long bay that was full of ice in 1780, 1790, and it was carefully mapped by the British explorer Vancouver, who showed that it went right out to the Pacific Ocean in the year 1800 or around that time. And most of that ice melted away in the early 1800s. It was almost all gone by 1870, long before there was any increase in CO2. So there's been a worldwide shrinkage of glaciers, land glaciers, but it started long before there was any increase in CO2. And I would guess most of the current shrinkage is still due to whatever natural causes led to the end of the Little Ice Age.
From 1979, we are measuring this also from the satellites. And I read one paper where they're explaining there is no big difference between 1979 until now, according to these measures from satellites.
Well, the satellite measurements have been a tremendous asset to our understanding of climate. And you're right, they started in about 1979. And they do show a very gradual warming of the atmosphere. The satellite really measures the air temperature best. They have a hard time getting the surface temperature. There are lots of confounding factors there, but they're very good for, say, 5-kilometer altitude, 10-kilometer. They can get down to 2 or 3 kilometers with accurate data. And it's showing a very slow, steady warming that started at the very beginning of their record. There was a long period called the pause from about the year 2000 to 2015, when there was almost no warming. I may not have the exact years, but it was called the hiatus. But the warming has since resumed again, but it's very small.